Happy Monday. Thank you for joining me for this week's Unlocking the Magic of Leadership. Now, this week we are looking at the third key, Galvanize Your Employees. We're going to be talking about implementing high-performance work practices. So the work practices that we're going to look at are practices that you as a leader can implement for your team to help improve performance. So the very first one is invest in training and development. And I know this can be uncomfortable because we've all sat in those training programs where we're like, oh my God, could this end, please? But training and development helps us, one, help share what the expectations are for your team. Two, it creates bonding experiences for your team. And then three, it gives you an opportunity to really focus in on what are those things that your team is doing well that we can enhance. What are some of those things that maybe we're not performing to the baseline that you would like them to perform? So we can bring in somebody to help assist with that. Your organization probably already has amazing learning and development and training programs. And I want to be clear about this. Training programs aren't just for when things go wrong. So training programs can be a good way to refresh, to get back to the basics, to help your team understand what you're expecting from them. So be willing to invest in those programs. Be willing to help create the strategy of what that is going to look like. Do you have somebody on your team that's really passionate about learning and development? Is this something that you can pass to them? Do you have a way that you could reach out to your network for referrals? When we think about training and development, many times we think about the cost that is associated with this instead of looking at the return. One of my favorite comics is VP of Finance asking another VP, what happens if we train them and they leave? And the VP's response is, what happens if we don't train them and they stay? And I think that shows the importance of learning and development. So don't be afraid to invest in that training and development. Now, the second piece is recognizing and rewarding performance. When you see individuals doing it right, recognize that. And again, we're not going to do
great job, thank you so much.
Instead, we're going to say, when you were doing X, I saw specifically that you were prepared, you knew your information, you were able to answer questions. It looked like you had put a lot of work into this. I just want to say thank you. I really appreciate that, and I'm glad that you're on my team. When we recognize and reward performance, it helps individuals know what you were looking for. When I would go into a new retail location, the first thing that I would do is find out who was responsible for notating my performance throughout the year. And then I would ask them, can you walk the floor with me? I want to see the floor through your perspective. And so what that meant is as we're walking, I wanted to see, are they paying attention to the shirts that are disheveled? Are they paying attention to there's a hole in the merchandise here? What was important for them? And then as I moved through and I would walk and look at my area, I was better able to understand not just my perspective, but their perspective as well. So recognize and reward that performance so that they understand what are your expectations. And when they understand it, they have a better opportunity to meet it, which will raise that performance. And then finally, and this one seems counterintuitive, but promote work-life balance. If you're taking a day because you need a day, you're taking a mental health day, say that. Let your team know, I've been under a lot of pressure. It seemed like it was time for me to just take a day, so I took a day. By doing this, it shows them that one, you're okay with it, and two, it's an expectation. Because when we burn ourselves into the ground by not taking care and promoting work-life balance, we are underperforming, we are not happy about being there. Chances are we may be looking for a different job. And so when we make work-life balance a priority, not just for us, but for our team, and we are intentional about showing this as a priority, then they can continue to show up as their best version. They're not fighting for energy to try to get done what needs to be done. They have a surplus of energy. And that is the ideal for what we want for creating these high-performance work environments. All right, so the three things that I want you to focus on. The first one, invest in training and development. The second, recognize and reward performance. And third is promote work-life balance for you as well as your team. All right, thank you very much for joining me this week. Have an absolutely amazing week. Make sure you're taking care of yourself. And as always, you got this. I'll see you next week.